Years ago, when I was at Franciscan University, a friend of mine taught me a powerful prayer. And I invite everyone to learn this prayer and pray it often. He held up a rosary, conventional rosary, and then he quoted what was in the scriptures today. Everyone who exalts himself will be humbled, but the one who humbles himself will be exalted. He taught me one of the most powerful prayers to grow in humility. And you may have heard this prayer before. Jesus, meek and humble of heart, make my heart like unto thine. And he said, pray that prayer with every Hail Mary bead. There's 10 of them. Jesus, meek and humble of heart, make my heart like unto thine. And then when you get to the Our Father bead, repeat the word that Jesus said, which we sung in our responsorial. Learn of me, for I am meek and humble of heart. And as you pray these prayers, to pick an instance in Jesus' life where he humbled himself. Recall, he said, learn of me. To learn and to contemplate how he bent down and washed the disciples' feet. How he spent over 15 years working in a hot, sweaty carpenter shop, doing the most ordinary menial labor. As you pray this prayer, Jesus, meek and humble of heart, you think about an instance in his life where he humbled himself. As they were crucifying him, the Gospel of Luke says, he cried out and said, Father, forgive them. They know not what they are doing. And so the Lord invites us to enter into the school of humility. I shared this with my 70 seminarian brothers, and so many of them said, wow, we're learning metaphysics. Wow, we're learning Thomistic theology, bioethics. We're learning all this academia. But are we learning from the life of Jesus' humility? And this prayer that I just taught you is so powerful because you say 50 times, Jesus, meek and humble of heart, make my heart like unto thine. And then you enter into the study, the contemplation of how the Son of God humbled himself his 33 years on earth. Of all the adjectives to describe himself, of everything he could have done to sum up his life and mission, he said meekness, humility. Because the kings of the earth, the powerful that lived in his day, sat on thrones, had people waiting upon him. In the gospel we heard today that when he was invited to a Pharisee's house, guess where everybody wanted to sit? You go over there, you go over there. I want the place of honor. And Jesus said, no. When you are invited, take the lowest seat. Learn of me, the one who washed my disciples' feet. Learn, study me, my example. Because who is Jesus? He is the Son of God. He is God from God, light from light, true God from true man. And he came down from the heights of heaven and took on a human nature just as real as you and I, but without sin. And he taught the billions of people who ever lived that if you want a life of happiness to the full, live a life of humility. Live a life of service. You know, people put on their refrigerator 3 letters. J-O-Y. Joy. Jesus first. Others second. Yourself third. You see, we find ourselves through the sincere gift of ourselves. The Lord taught us humility so that we could have life to the full. Think about how miserable many people are out there who are trying to make a name for themselves, stepping on the next guy. But if you see Mother Teresa's face, it is the most beautiful of smiles because the heart lights up the face. And when your heart is on fire with the love of God, and you're living the meek and humble of life, you're free of so many worries and cares and anxieties. Because pride puffs up, but love builds up. So there was this man at seminary. He had his PhD. He was making over $500,000 a year, and he entered into seminary. And there were class elections going on at the time. And there were these 2 seminarians, believe it or not, who were campaigning to become class president. And this seminarian who entered in was known for just real quietly taking out the garbage in the kitchen. He was known to brush the snow off of people's car anonymously. He was the one who would bring someone else's mail and leave it at their door. He was doing little acts of love constantly and quietly. And he was like Mother Teresa. People saw a glow on his face. They saw such serenity. And you know what? Those 2 that were vying to become class president never made it. Guess who was elected class president? This man who was meek and humble, who had everything in his union with Jesus Christ. He was so satisfied and fulfilled with the God of the universe. He knew he didn't have to make a name for himself. You study all those in the Old Testament that blasphemed God, that lived a destructive, empty life. They were always trying to shine the spotlight on them. Joy, Jesus first, others second, and yourself third. To study the Son of God, who came not to be served, but to serve. The one who tied a towel around his waist and waited at table on his disciples. The God of the universe became flesh to give us a life-giving example to be fully alive. And if you want to find yourself, give of yourself. Spend more time looking into the eyes of Jesus in prayer and serving other people. I invite everybody this evening to go on YouTube and pull up a video of Mother Teresa. The most ravenous smile I've ever seen on a human being. Pull up a video on her. Look at how her face is illuminated. It's because her interior life was so free, so alive, so in union with Jesus. She didn't need anything else because she had everything. When you have union with Jesus, you have everything. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He is my God. He is my satisfaction. He is the one that deserves the glory and honor. And I, as his faithful follower, will live a life of humility and meekness, putting Jesus first, others second, and myself third.